No surprise here, and obviously just another little jab. Pac-12 statement on expansion following consultation. Presidents, chancellors, ADs. Pac-12 has made the decision not to pursue expansion of our membership at this time, made following extensive internal discussion analysis based on the current competitive strength and cohesiveness of our 12 universities. It is also grounded in our confidence in our ability as a conference to best support our student athletes to grow, thrive, both academically and athletically. So there's that. Paul is gone. Craig and I will try to weave through the next 3 hours. Craig Smoak, just yet another Big 12 left in the dust.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say that I'm all that surprised. I think the feeling around here yesterday was that the Pac-12 was probably not going to expand just based on the alliance. It didn't really make a whole lot of sense unless they saw somebody that they felt could bring in some big money to the conference. And based on, all the information we've seen and just the various talks that we've had, it didn't appear that there was really any strong candidate out of the Big 12 that was going to make that much of a difference for the Pac-12, especially post-alliance when they know now they can, have this immediate connection with the Florida States, Clemson's, Michigan's, Ohio State's, all that will come with that alliance. So I can't say that I'm surprised. I think, though, if you're the Big 12, is it weird to say this is probably good news for you if you're the remaining 8? Because, certainly better news would have been the Pac-12 saying, hey, we're going to consolidate the entire Big 12 into the Pac-12. That would have been the best news possible, and everything would have been answered, and there would have been no loose ends, and everybody would have been back in a spot. But now it's still the little 8 that's out there by themselves. So they still have autonomy power. We know that the AAC schools, they desire that. And now the Big 12, I would think, is in a position where they are going to, go searching for some teams to add. They don't really have much of a choice as far as I'm concerned.
Well, yeah, I agree with you. In fact, time for the Big 12 to go on the offense. This is from the 254. Load up with the Brigham Youngs, the Boise States, Houston, Cincinnati, whoever else. Start building. We'll get better in football, still be elite basketball. Stop sitting around hoping for someone to rescue you. Side benefit, you make Oklahoma and Texas still pay. And then the chat room as well. Some of you are saying, hey, I just read, we heard. No, it's official. The Pac-12, we just read the statement. They are not, at least based on the statement today, they will not be expanding. And so my question to you, whether you're a fan of the remaining 8 or not, if you are a college football fan, and if you were the Big 12, and I know some of you might say, well, they're dead. We're going to right now look at it differently. What would you do? If you were the Big 12, what is now your option? Stay patient, try to collect checks from Texas and Oklahoma, or would you go on the offensive like the 254 just in fact said to us on the chat room, text line? By the way, the number open, 254-339-1122. Max Olson, theathletic.com, will join us at 4, his thoughts on what this means. He wrote a story about the Big 12 on Tuesday. And then also today we have Seth Luttrell, head coach at North Texas, Mickey Spagnola on the Cowboys. Craig's off the radar, as well as some of our guests. And former and longtime collegiate offensive line coach John Grimes, who's retired. He has coached in the SEC. He has coached in a lot of different places, including the Big 12 as well. So, Craig, 100% offense, go on offense. You can sit there and wait, and all you're going to do is just be left out of yet the next party that the invitations go out to.
Well, I mean, what would you be waiting for?
Nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're waiting to just wait for something to maybe happen? I mean, there's no wait for anything right now. There are no invites coming as it stands right now. The Pac-12's not open for business. The Big Ten's not going to add any of these 8 teams. For all the talk the last few weeks, I don't see Kansas in the Big Ten. I don't see West Virginia in the ACC. I don't see Tech and Oklahoma State to the Pac-12. So all these things that, some people out there, and you know how it is, the rumor mill and everything, we're like, oh, man, just wait, just big announcement, and all that, and here we are, and everybody's in the same spot they were. So, yeah, they have no other choice but to go on the offensive. I think the good news here is that you have 8 teams now that have to be even more together than they were before. You still have to have your head on a swivel, of course, But I think you at least feel a little bit better about working together, all 8, to now go out and grab some teams. I mean, I don't think you have any other choice. And if you're the Big 12, you go out and you add UCF, and you go out and you add, BYU or whoever you want to end up adding to the mix. And you just better hope that you have a team that jumps up and makes some noise in the playoffs, right? You hope that, Baylor or someone like that goes and wins another title in basketball. I mean, all you can really do is plug the holes as best you can. So you're plugging these massive holes that are Oklahoma and Texas with probably 4 other brands, and there's still going to be a little bit of a leak there. But if you can get everybody on the same page and just go out and win and do the best that you can, then who knows what it looks like in 3 years when these other contract rights are coming up and other conferences are starting to shore those back up. I mean, that's really all you can do from my vantage point, is go out there, put together the best conference you can, and go out and play the best you can in football and basketball in particular. Hope you win some titles and hope that makes a difference. But really, I don't see what your other choices are.
This is from the 304 West Virginia fan, Deke in West Virginia. Let's just keep the Big 12 together, get Oklahoma and Texas money, bring in a few new teams, hope we can stay Power 5 and not take too much of a hit when it comes to revenue. From Matt in D.C., when no one wants you, you go into business for yourselves. Expand. Yeah. From Brandon. Nah, let's see here. Don't do anything right now. Collect the checks and talk to them in a few years. So everybody's got a different opinion. From Scotty, I would expand to 10 or 12 teams, be on the offensive, besides waiting on Texas and Oklahoma. Checks, and one more on the text line. Expand or be relegated to a group of 5 conference, go on the offensive. And those are just the text numbers. We'll take your calls as well. Armstrong, open up the lines for a couple of calls if we got them. And then also the chat room.
And here's the thing, if you go and you add 4 of the best teams available, and, whoever that would be, UCF, BYU, keep mentioning the same teams. But when that time comes, when the conference contracts are up in 23, 24 for, pretty much everybody but the ACC, then, if you're going to be relegated at some point, at least be the best team, the best conference when it comes to relegation. If that, you know what I'm saying, is like, go ahead and take over. Like right now, the AAC is the best non-Power 5 conference, right? They're the best non-Power 5 conference. You go poach their 4 best teams or whatever, and at worst, you'll be the best non-Power 5 conference in a few years. At best, you maybe be good enough that UCF's risen as a program, or whoever it's going to be.
Right.
Or even just your own 8 teams have risen up and maybe hit a different level. Kansas wins a title in basketball, or Tech, or whatever. And, then if it turns out that this is all destined for just non-Power 5 status anyways, then at least you'd be the strongest, without a doubt, non-Power 5 here in 3 or 4 years, which should be worth.
If they're going to be a part of the playoff,
and we should be worth a little something, rather than falling even farther down the ladder.
Here's my favorite analogy I've read so far, and I mean they're coming in just like this: 8-6-4. What happens when a team goes into prevent defense? You lose. Time to go out. Add Brigham Young or North Carolina. I believe he meant UNC. UCF, I'm not sure. Cincinnati and Houston from the 4-8-0 expand. You need that 13th data point. Don't forget that. With a conference championship to be able to make the playoffs in the 903, add 8 teams. Yeah, you'll make less money, but that's a given now. 16 teams would really help keep visibility, significance in the rankings moving forward. 10-team conference minus your Blue Bloods will be overlooked. And Nate in Fort Worth, thanks for your text as well.
I think they need to at least get up to 12. I mean, unless they feel like, just 2 teams, and I would assume that would probably be UCF and BYU. I don't know that, though. But I'm just thinking about, like, money and market, and not so much market with BYU, but you know what I mean? Like, just all the intangibles. I'd like to see them go past 10 and get to have a little bit more strength, because they've been sitting at 10 for a while now, and now they're sitting at 8 basically. But whatever makes the most sense. You got to trust Bob Bowlesby to do that. But yeah, it's all in his hands now. If they don't go out and do something or react to this in some type of way, or they just sit on their hands again, then there's really no excuses anymore. They've had the wake-up call of wake-up calls. If this doesn't change their leadership into being more on the cutting edge, not just talking about streaming rights and things, but actually being engaged and involved and making some progress in that regard, then there's no lesson that could ever come that would teach these guys to better manage this conference. So we'll see.
Armstrong, we got some calls. You want to load them up for me?